So, thank you so much for having me here. I am incredibly passionate about entrepreneurship, and you know, the opportunity to speak to entrepreneurs who are just getting their feet wet. To me, that's about the most exciting thing that there is out there. I'd like to talk a bit more about that, but I thought I'd start with my own personal story and some of the challenges and successes that our business, I say our business because you know, it's, me and my dad started it, but it is very much a team effort. Some of the successes and challenges that we've overcome. The business started 4 years ago, July 1st, but really the story started 6 years before that. That was at the time I was working for Ministry of Community Safety. I was a business planning manager, and I had a really nice salary and a pension and a house and all sorts of comforts. But I was very restless. I think I've always needed to be an entrepreneur. And I remember at the age of 16, borrowing $300 from my dad to finance a demo tape for a band. And it was always part of what I've been doing. I tried to start a company that was called Frisbee, where you played drinking games with a Frisbee. That didn't take off either, but it's always been a part of who I am. And so this great job just wasn't keeping me interested enough. And he came to visit me one day. He'd been running a business in Bank Hill for about 18 years before that, and it was textile based. So with the free trade that had come in about 5-6 years before that, and some of the other agreements that were done internationally, he started seeing all of his customers moving offshore. And so I knew that, you know, every year he was having a tougher and tougher slug, but I was still very surprised that day when he said, the very last of my customers has just filed for receivership. I am effectively out of business. And it kind of shocked me, and started talking about, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to sell the building? Are you going to move to India or China where everyone else has moved to? What are you going to do? And what he said kind of actually shocked me more than the first thing. I should mention we were outside on the patio having a beer at the time. And he raised his glass and said, you know, I always thought that someone should open a craft brewery in Eastern Ontario. And I said, well, Dad, if you're serious, I'll quit my job, sell my house, and move back home to help you start this. And he said yes. And we spent the rest of the day dreaming up this awesome brewery we were going to start. And the next day we sobered up, and it still seemed like a good idea. So we went to our most important shareholders, our wives that day, and said, this is what we want to do. Are you cool with that? And my wife is a saint, so she said yes. And my mom didn't think it would actually ever happen, so she also said yes. We spent the next 2 years, I would wake up at 3 in the morning every day to get about 3 hours worth of research and business planning done before I did my day job. Finish my day job, pick up my daughter from daycare, get her into bed at about 8, and then start working till about midnight. And then I get up at 3 the next day and do it all again. The 2 years between idea and here's some actual beer, probably the 2 toughest years of my life. It was non-stop work, it was stressful, it was thrilling, but it was tough. The cool part though is that at no point did either my dad or I say, if this doesn't happen by this day, we just walk away. It was from that very first day, actually the second day when our wives said yes, from that point forward there was never any kind of, well, if this doesn't happen, we stop. It became, if this doesn't happen, we gotta find another way. And 2 or 3 times we hit what I'm pretty sure anyone else would have said, that's it, we're done. We had one investor who agreed with a handshake for $150,000 investment, and then the day we went to the business development bank for the loan, he pulled out, and we immediately started calling up other people trying to find that $150,000. And we didn't find it, but when we walked into the business development bank, we sat down and we said, we lost an investor, you're going to have to come up with more money now. And we found a way. And that, to me, was what made us what we are. The decisions we made in those early days really became how the business is today. It's a process of evolution, but the decision to make exclusively organic beer came that very first day sitting on the patio. The decision of how we were going to be family run and friend run came that day. And a lot of, I think, the most important decisions we made were made in those early days. And the toughest part has been sticking with some of those ideas, because some of them are really hard when you find out that you're paying, a premium of, I think it was 100% at some points for the more expensive materials. But it's also, I think, been why we've succeeded. The fact that we've stuck to our guns, we've stuck to our principles, and we've worked really hard. That's been what's got us through. So once we started actually making beer, we had enough money, we cobbled it together we had about 3 months worth of operating funds. And we had basically a time clock ticking. And we got really, I don't know if I should say lucky, we worked really hard, made a really good beer, but we're very surprised to find out that the very first batch of beer we made won an award for Best Beer at the Festivals at the Golden Taps. We didn't even know there was an award for that. We just thought we were bringing some beer down. That award got us some attention, that got us a little bit more investment, that got us just enough money to keep the lights on for another month. And then we kept working and found someone else that gave us just enough money to keep us going for the next couple months. And every month our sales grew by about 30%. And after about a year and a half, there was enough money coming in that we could actually keep the lights on.